Everyone, welcome to the 1804 Show, Chapter 2. I'm your host, Dollar Will, and this is episode 510. Got my special friend, special bro coming to the platform today. He gonna come up here and drop some jewels and everything like that. So I'm gonna bring him in here so we can get started. Yo, what up, bro?
Yo, what's good, my guy? What's good, bro?
Man, nothing, man. Just, grinding, working. I know you know all about that.
Yes, sir, man. I'm happy to be here, bro. I mean, like, it's been a long time since we were able to chop it up. So, I'm glad to have been presented this opportunity, and I'm excited about where this conversation, where this will take us. So,
Man, me too, man. And like I said, man, I'm proud of you, man, for all your accomplishments, considering where we come from. So nice to see
definitely,
somebody make it.
I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it, and I mean, like, I'm very much someone who loves my city. I, understand like the challenges like of coming from a city like Saginaw, but also understanding that responsibility to give back, to inspire, to make sure that the things that you accomplish, the next kid, the next person feels like, yo, they did it, I can do it too, and being accessible, in the event that they want to talk to me or they want to feel like, if they feel like being in contact with me will help them along that path or journey, even if it's in something like totally separate than what I got going on in life.
Oh yeah, for sure, man, because you never know who you inspire, man, just by being yourself, doing too much. And we have a lot of those around here, just doing
Yeah.
too much. And
That's funny.
so,
That's funny.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
No, for real, for real. I mean, I think in general, doing too much is it's a part of our culture now. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Doing too much is very much a part of the culture. It's a part of our um, desire to be seen, to be heard, and sometimes we go overboard where people like they forget. I feel like a lot of times people miss the mark on how being in your own pocket and cultivating your thoughts and ideas and refining yourself before you put yourself out there, you're probably gonna have a better product or whatever the subject matter is. You're probably gonna have a better product if you, rather than putting yourself out there or trying to be involved and have your voice on every subject, or you're probably gonna become better at whatever it is that you're doing. You can sit in the lab by yourself. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. And I just want you to just, talk about just the process of like your career path and graduating
Okay.
and stuff like that. So, like, was that like difficult along the way?
Definitely. Let's jump into it.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ayinde Ashford, and I go by Yende. My background, my educational background is I got a bachelor's of communications, minor in communications. I'm sorry, minor in philosophy.
Hmm.
And then I took a couple years off and I went to law school in Des Moines, Iowa. Drake is my alma mater. And after that, it's not necessarily a degree or an educational uh, pursuit, but it's a requirement. You got to take the bar after that to become an attorney.
Hmm.
And so that's like the last hurdle to kind of accomplish, being an attorney. But it was a journey, bro. It was definitely a journey. Just in general, that's 7 years of school. So you got 4 years undergrad, law school is 3 years. So that's a 7 year commitment in general. So one of the biggest things that you kind of have to have, like when you walk down something like a 7 year commitment, when you think about 7 years, it's kind of a long time.
Hmm.
It's just like the concept of delayed gratification. I'm not going to necessarily win in 2 years on this thing that I'm like, this goal that I've set out on.
Right.
I'm not going to necessarily win or reach my pursuit in 3-4 years. That's just getting my bachelor's. So one of the things that I feel like was a huge element in me being able to just kind of like take the next step is like just being okay with my gratification being delayed, like not necessarily being 23 and having everything I wanted, but being 23 in the middle of the process. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, getting my bachelor's degree was pretty chill. Saginaw Valley State is where I got my bachelor's degree from. So I commuted, bro. Like I played football and stuff like that, but I commuted. So I'm in like the Bridgeport area at the time, staying at my mom's crib, saving money on that tip because I'm not spending bread, to live on campus. But that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. And if you have any specific questions as I'm going, bro, definitely cut me off and get out, because I definitely want.
Okay.
Yeah, so don't mind just cut me off wherever I am if you want to kind of redirect. But yeah, after that, I knocked that out 4 years, finished up, and then I moved to DC. Definitely to kind of experience and broaden my horizons, because I felt like, man, I wanna go to law school, but I don't know anyone around me that has done that. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have access to people who have kind of charted the course that I chart. But in DC, I knew I was going to connect with people like that. So I moved to DC. For 2 years, I was living there, and I thought I would go to school in DC. But I was inspired and I was connected to a lot of people in DC, and they kind of put me on the right track to get into like law school. Because I didn't know anyone who had done that.
Right.
So DC was dope. I see Dre in here. What's up with you, Dre? I definitely thought that I would do law school in DC. Somewhat disappointed when it didn't happen for me, but I feel like God was leading me to Des Moines, Iowa, because they gave me substantial scholarship. Middle of nowhere. We're from Saginaw, Michigan. It's a lot of black folks where we're from. I'm talking middle of nowhere, Iowa, where it wasn't a lot of black folks, bro. I was the only black male in my class. There was a brother from Egypt, but like as far as black American, I was the only one in my class, bro.
Whew, man, I couldn't imagine.
No, that was
that type of adversity.
like when I was sitting in orientation, I'm like looking around me like, oh yeah, I'm here.
Right.
There were a couple of black women in my class. And I would say my class may have been about 110 people. The group that I graduated with, we started with maybe 110 folks, and I was the only one. They separated in 2 sections, so you had one section, it's like section A and then section B. In both sections, I was the only black male. So
man, yeah, I would have been very just intense all the time, but no, just going to a different state and going to especially a different region, and then you by yourself and this and that. I had to do that too, man. I didn't go to college, but I went to Job Corps.
Yeah.
And I was the only one. Well, I thought I was the only one from Saginaw, but it was only a couple of us there. But at the same time, I was by myself because I didn't have no support system.
Yeah.
And I didn't have no family down there. So it just took like faith and courage for me to like go somewhere like that, because I really wanted to do something different. I wanted more out of life and stuff. And a lot of people are afraid to make those type of decisions because they don't want to leave their family, they don't want to leave their friends. But sometimes you got to do that in order to want more.
Yeah. Nah, definitely. I 100% agree. I feel like whenever you get to that point where you feel like, man, I want to do something more, but I don't have access to it here, you have to be comfortable with putting yourself in a more uncomfortable position or an uncomfortable position in order to grow. I was looking at a couple of things in preparation for our conversation, and this is something that I feel like is very much relevant with like where we are, like with the mental health conversation, and we haven't even really hit that subject yet. But in general, I saw something the other day, and I was like, man, I think that's profound. And so I kind of just tallied it. And have you ever? Because I hadn't until a couple of days ago. Have you ever heard of the process for like lobsters? It's called molting.
Molting.
Never
Yeah.
heard of it, bro. I have never heard of it until a couple of days ago. So
Wow.
somebody brought it up, and I was like, man, that's actually really profound. But essentially, a lobster has to shed its shell. Like those shells do not grow.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're they don't expand. And so you talk about like when we get into these positions and these predicaments where we're feeling like probably boxed in, we're not growing. We feel that pressure, like I'm inspired to do something more. I'm motivated to do something more, but I'm not in the right environment.
Mm-hmm.
I think that totally relates to this process of molting. And I jotted a note down on it, and it basically explains the process. An exoskeleton does not expand. So in order to grow, lobsters actually have to shed it, which is called molting. When the old exoskeleton becomes too tight for lobsters, they split the shell in half and where the main body meets, and then they begin the process of growing a new one. And I was sitting there thinking like that, wow, like I've never, like obviously I don't think much about marine life or lobsters for that matter, but I was just thinking about how profound that can be when you think about when you start to feel pressure in life to grow and to expand and to do something different, something that you haven't necessarily seen. Whatever shell, whatever mindset, whatever paradigm like you're currently in, you're probably not going to get there if you stay right there in that same space. You know what I'm saying? So you got to kind of do something to shed your current skeleton, your exoskeleton, I should say, to
Mm-hmm.
expand and grow. And I feel like that's what the process of going to school is. You know what I mean? Like where you are is a product of like what you've done behind you. You know, where you're trying to get is a process of what you're doing right now to get there. You know what I'm saying? And so I thought that was profound, bro. Like, what do you think of that?
Oh, I believe 100% of what you said, man, and I feel, and I was going to ask you that as well, like, because I feel like if I never left here, because I left there a few times, man, over the years, and I just was able to just become very transparent with
Yeah,
people, because it's really important that you don't hold all of that stuff in. You know, I always try to explain to folks that don't be ashamed of your origin story
yeah,
and stuff like that, because we all have an origin story. So I would just go into these rooms and just meeting like millionaires and stuff like that, and people who were successful,
yeah,
and just my teachers alone, they was like, man, you don't belong here. Like, what you doing here? Because I was homeless at the time, man,
yeah,
and I was just looking for somewhere to sleep.
yeah,
But it worked out in my benefit because I had gained relationships with
yeah,
these people, and I still
yeah,
have a relationship with these people to this day.
yeah,
So I just always advise people to, venture off, go see the world
yeah.
and
That's
stuff
awesome,
like that.
bro. That's awesome. I didn't even know that. That's awesome that you were, even in that kind of trying time of your life, you had the mindset and the wherewithal to put yourself out there, to meet people, to build relationships. Building relationships and community is one of the things that I want to discuss today. I'll get to it later. But did I answer your question? I want to make sure I answer all your questions, bro. Did I answer questions about kind of my educational process? Was there
I
anything?
think
Was there anything more specific that you kind of wanted me to touch?
yeah, just being in college and everything like that, it's a lot of pressure,
Yeah,
especially when you're doing midterms, papers, and
yeah.
tests and everything like
Yeah.
that. So, what was your method that made you just stuck it out, basically?
Well, for one, I got humbled, bro. Like, I got humbled my first semester of both undergrad and law school. I got smacked in the face both times. And I was thinking to myself, like, when it happened the second time, I'm like, man, like, you've already experienced this before. Like, why are you in this predicament again? But the first time, and I'm pretty transparent. I'm an open book, bro. So whatever questions you have. But in undergrad, my very first semester, I got hit with I think it was like a probationary notice from my school that if I didn't improve next semester, I
Mhm.
would be dismissed. I think it's called academic probation.
Yeah.
Mind you, I come from my family. I come from a family of academic excellence, right? So, you know, my sister, my younger sister, or my older sister was salutatorian of her high school class. Um, my younger sister was valedictorian of her high school class. We all three of us went to the high. Shout out to the high.
Hmm. Yeah.
My mother, before us, was a valedictorian, and my dad was the top of his class in his master's program. He
Hmm.
was, you know, an engineer. And so I've always been surrounded by a group of people in my family that, you know, academic excellence was important, but I for whatever reason was not operating in that by the time I got to college.
Hmm.
So I get smacked in the face, and I literally called a family meeting. Like, if you remember, I was still living at home. I was commuting from home out to the valley, and I called a family meeting with my folks, and I basically just talked to them. I was like, y'all, listen, this is where I'm at. Like, they just hit me with this academic, you know, like, you know, what do I need to do? I need y'all to give me some support. What do I need to do to become a better student?
Hmm.
And essentially, like, they kicked it to me, and they told me, like, Yinde, you've always had what it took. You never applied yourself. Like, you're not just gonna show up and do well. And that's exactly what I was doing, bro. My first semester in college, I was just happy to be a college student. Like, just changing, like, this change in scenery. Like, I'm seeing, like, at the time, like, I'm an athlete. Like, I'm playing college football, getting used to that the rhythm of that. I'm meeting people from, like, different parts of the state. And it was all exciting for me in a way that I didn't focus on the actual reason I was there, which was school.
Hmm.
So I was showing up to class, doing my bare minimum, trying to understand what was going on, and that was pretty much it. But I wasn't studying a lot after, like, class. Like, I was studying in class. Like, that's when I was trying to do my studying. And if you know anything about, like, being prepared in school, the studying happens after class. So
Yeah.
that was all the time that I was put into school, was like while I was in class. And so, you know, once I got humbled that semester, I kind of made a decision, like, yo, like, that's it. Like, I'm never being in this, like, in this situation, in this predicament again. And so I just made a decision, bro. Like, there's power in making a decision. I made a decision, and that next semester, like, I did whatever I could to make sure I was on point. And it was a complete turnaround. Like, I went from academic probation to dean's list in one semester, bro. And that, like, I told myself, like, it was like positive self-talk after that. Like, you can do it, bro. Whatever circumstance, like, you can put yourself out there, apply yourself, be disciplined in such a way to get the results. And it was just discipline. I would say that was the biggest thing for me that next semester. Because I was staying after, I was looking at all the, like, resources that the school had to, like, after class, I was in the library. In some cases, wasting time struggling, but I was there. I was
Hmm.
trying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what happened, bro. That's what happened.
It's crazy, man, because, you know, just like you said, man, like, you always had a supporting family, and I'll always just try to let everybody know that everybody don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you don't have that, it just seems like it's impossible.
Yeah.
But luckily now, um, my support system good and stuff like that. I got people who speak life into me
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
and do those pep talks with me,
Yeah.
because the funniest thing, man, I went back to school like 3 years ago. I went back to school and
Okay.
became a student. So from like 32 and 19, man, it was a big difference.
Yeah.
But the difference was I had chosen a different major. I had went into arts and communication. So I was already doing this, you
Yeah.
know, and it was crazy because my professor at the time, she was my writing professor, and she was just like getting to know me and stuff. And so I told her, like, oh, I do YouTube, you know, I got my own show. And she was like, oh, really? Let me check it out. So she saw, like, my earlier work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So she was just came back to me. She was like, William, like, are you doing? Like, you are so advanced and ahead of everybody. Like, you just wasting your time for real, and you got it. You have
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
And so she just had told me, I recommend you drop out because you wasting your time. You got this already.
yeah,
So, and I just had set back because I didn't really believe it, but everybody else around me believed it before
yeah,
I did.
yeah.
So when you just like constantly doubting yourself, or you're not applying pressure, or you're not disciplined, it's easy to get sucked in because everybody else can believe in you, but it don't matter if you don't believe in yourself.
No, 100%, 100%.
So that's when I decided to drop out. And when I dropped out, I had just a mission. I had a
Yeah,
point to prove to myself. And that's why it just was nonstop. And everyone was just asking me like, dang, man, you just got this motor behind you, got this work ethic that I have never seen before.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and and I just was telling them like, look, this is my last shot to make it. But
yeah,
I already felt like I made it, but it's just another um milestone, another stepping stone to get like my point across to millions and billions.
yeah.
And that's what
Nah,
I'm trying to
bro.
do.
And to that, I salute you, bro. Because a lot of times people, you know, their ideas, we get trapped in our own minds, including
Hmm.
myself. Sometimes my ideas, they start in my head and they stop in my head. And I really appreciate, watching people do and
Hmm.
activate, and so even you hit me up before about arranging a time, and we didn't come to an agreement on when we could meet, but you followed up, and I just want to tip my hat off, bro. Sometimes people, they don't follow through on things. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like you're at that stage in your life where you know what you want, and I respect it. And I wanted to honor it with my presence and being here with you, to salute you for what you've been doing. So be encouraged, bro. I know, like, I know whatever goals we're walking down, they can be difficult. But I want to salute you for being a doer, being someone who doesn't necessarily, have an idea in their mind and get trapped there and don't, take the next step of execution and activating. I want to salute you on that, bro, because I know sometimes my ideas get stuck in my head and I don't follow through.
Oh man, no problem, man. And I get it. It's just it really hard. It's really hard um to follow up, and because really, like, I learned so much by doing this,
Yeah,
just with networking, expanding, because I went through 5 logos already. So
yeah,
I always want to just have a new makeup, on a new look for my
yeah, yeah,
business, man. That's how
yeah,
much
yeah, yeah,
pride I take into it. But consider it from when I started from point A, and I
yeah,
probably like point H right now. But
yeah, yeah, yeah,
just to see the growth, man, and see the more people coming,
yeah,
because I'm at that point now. I don't have to ask nobody to come. They be like, "Hey, can I come?" Or,
yeah,
"Oh,
yeah,
you the one with the podcast?"
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
me,
yeah,
So just by that, because in our communities, in our race, we have to do it first before anybody
yeah,
else take us
yeah, yeah.
seriously.
Oftentimes we do. Yeah, yeah,
So it's amazing, man. Just knowing that you was able to get over that hurdle and just realize, like, okay, I need to get serious. No more joking around. No
yeah,
more procrastinating and stuff, because it takes a real man to realize that sometimes he's the problem and
yeah,
not everybody else.
yeah. It was me. It was definitely me, and it has been me, time and time again in my life. And in order to go to whatever the next level is, or to cultivate a better self, I had to look inward.
Hmm.
You got to look at yourself. You have to be a critic of yourself. If you're not, you won't grow. You just, quite simply, you won't grow. So, no, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And also what I wanted to ask you was just after you had went to undergrad and then you got into law school, like, was there anything else as far as like trials and tribulations with that? Was
Yeah,
that tough?
yeah, no, for sure. So, in response to the question about undergrad and the hurdle, I felt like I had, I felt like I was in the same position because in law school, my first semester, like law school was something totally different, bro. Like in law school, in most cases, your grade boils down to one test at the end of the semester. So in undergrad, you might have a couple papers,
Mm-hmm.
you might have, like 3 or 4 tests to like average out what your final grade is. So you can kind of like gauge where you're at by the first 2 tests. Okay, I'm running a C plus average. Let me see if I can get it up to a B plus between now and the end of the semester. Whereas with law school, the middle of the semester, you don't have any reference point as to where you are, right? You've been listening to all these lectures. You've been like taking in all this information, but you have not applied it in any way that's like you've received feedback on where you are. So I'm like, I'm in class. I'm like, yeah, like I'm on point. Like I'm understanding the concepts. I'm active in class. I'm raising my hand. They call it the Socratic method, where your professor will call on you, to see if you've read and see if you understand the concept. And they call it cold call. So you're sitting there reading, and the next thing you know, your name is called, and now you got to discuss in front of the entire class, which for some can be kind of intimidating. Mm-hmm. But I've always been kind of comfortable with like public speaking and things like that, so I wasn't thrown off by that. But my first semester, when I took those tests,
mm-hmm.
and I'm in the middle of those tests, realizing like, oh man, like that didn't feel awfully great. Like I wish I had 30 minutes. I wish I had 30 more minutes. Like at the end I remember feeling that way after taking tests. I wish I had 30 minutes. In some cases, I wish I had like another hour. So it wasn't always just the fact that I didn't feel comfortable like putting the information out, but within the time constraints that I had. And so, it's like 1 week, bro. It's like a 2-week period. 2-week period, they kind of arrange what your final schedule is. And you might take a test on Monday, you might take a test on Wednesday, and you might take a test on like Friday. And then that next week, you might have 2 more exams. Those exams account for your entire grade for an entire semester, bro. So you're sitting back waiting for those test scores to come back to tell you what your performance was for the entire semester. 2 hours in some cases, 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got those first grades back, and mind you, like they weren't awful, but in law school it is competitive. It's a ranking system, like so you're trying to, at least be at the curve, be better than the curve. And so I remember getting like some kind of like C average stuff. I got some B's, mm-hmm. but the overall of my semester wasn't good, and not by standards of law school. It might like be, B and C stuff might not be the worst thing in the world in undergrad, but by law school standards, I wasn't on a good track. And so there too, I was at the end of that semester, like after those test grades, like, I've come back, I'm like, man, like what do I have to do to be a good law student? I mm-hmm. figured out how to be a decent undergraduate student. Now mm-hmm. this is a whole different ballgame. I don't know anything about being a law student before, coming to law school. I don't have lawyer family members that I had communicated with. I did have like some lawyer family members that had inspired me to go into law, but none that I was like closely in contact with about what the actual process of law school looked like. So, bro, I was sitting in the same spot after those tests. Those tests came back. I forget exactly what it was like. C, a couple B's, and another C. I'm like, oof, mm-hmm. this ain't it. I'm hoping for B's and A's,
Yeah.
And I remember just like being in the same position. I was more mature at that time. I didn't have to have a sit down with my parents or anything like that. But I really just went very critical, right? Like, what did I do wrong? What do I have to do to be better? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I did next semester was rather than going the entire semester and taking a test for the first time at the end, because mind you, it's one test at the end. What I did was I tested myself, right? So I'm not taking a test that's being administered by my teacher, because my teacher is, or by the professor, because the professor, it may be one or two tests. So on a random Saturday, when I feel like, okay, I've covered enough material that I need to see where I'm at. I need to measure myself. I would go to the library on a Saturday, put myself in like similar. Siri talking to me. I would put myself in that situation. Like, yo, what does it feel like to take this type of test in an hour and a half, 2 hours? And I would sit there and I would do it, and I would check. I would grade myself afterwards. Looking at whatever resource. And if I was, well, I'm gonna say it. I wasn't on point, but I knew I wasn't on point. So it's like, okay, these are my weakness areas. I'm strong here. I'm weak here. Let me focus on getting better in these areas. You know what I'm saying? And so by that point, or by incorporating that kind of discipline and measuring myself throughout the end of the year, when it came, the time to take the test, I wasn't oblivious as to where I was at. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like that first test that I was going to take that was administered by the professor was going to be the first time I measured myself on where I was at. I had taken those tests by myself before. And when I say by myself, I also had friends and I found community within the law school to help me with that. It wasn't like that was something I did by myself. What I mean by myself is it wasn't the school that was testing me. It was myself, my study group, things like that. So I found study groups, and we would hit it hard. And so, that's one of the things that I learned is like, I can't wait to the end of the year or the end of the semester to see where I'm at. Man. Once I figured that out, bro, law school, I'm not gonna say it was a breeze, but that was the most challenging aspect for me was, you have to test yourself to measure where you're at before the test. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That was it, bro.
Yeah, that's dope, man, because it's funny, when I first started this platform, a lot of people...
What up, Al?
Yeah, because it's like a lot of people didn't understand it, they didn't get it, because they watch so many other podcasters, Drink Champs, and I had somebody who was just like, oh, you need to be like the Breakfast Club and this and that. And I said, well, I'm not the Breakfast Club. I'm not Drink Champs.
Yeah.
I'm the 1804 show.
Yeah.
And can't expect perfection the first 5 episodes or 10 episodes. Yeah. It takes time to get this out.
Let me ask you that. So what is the significance behind 1804?
Oh, man. Well, I was watching the documentary, the 1804 in Haiti and stuff. So just the fact like they was able to gain their independence by working together. So I was just so inspired by that because I didn't have a name for this yet. So I wanted it to correlate with history, but I also wanted it to mean something and be symbolic and this and that. So that's why I was able to, correlate that with that name. Yeah. And then just use my logo. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But
no, I have.
That came from that picket sign that came from the 1968 sanitation strike of Memphis. Because it was just so powerful. So I always wanted to just use some symbolism and everything. But
deeper meaning.
Yeah. Yeah, because it just needs, because I need to be activated within us.
Yeah.
Because we just so broken to the point that we don't have, I would say, the extra edge to unify and to love each other and this and that. So that's why I wanted to do it, man. But it was just, I wanted it so bad.
Yeah.
But I had got it so bad to the point of people was clowning me, people was laughing at me, but I didn't quit. I didn't stop. So once I saw that, okay, he here to stay. This is not no fad. Then that's when everybody started to show me love and started to come. Yeah. But I didn't do this for approval. because
Yeah.
I knew what I wanted. I had already stamped it,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to make sure that people caught the message, because
Yeah.
it's a
No,
message
talk your
every
stuff,
day.
bro.
It's a
Talk your
message every
stuff,
day.
man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
you gotta, bro. When it comes time to like making a decision as a man, bro, like as a person, as an individual, you have to be so convinced in that thing, whatever that decision is, that you are unwaveringly gonna go after it. Like, so the outside noise or what everyone else says, like, doesn't matter, bro. Like, I can honestly say there have been so many times in my life that I've been like told that I could not do something, and I just couldn't understand why people felt like I always took it offensive, bro. Like, not like I always took it offensive that somebody could like really like, knowing me, like, you really think there's no way that I could like do this.
mm-hmm.
Um, you don't think I can figure it out, you know? And I would be motivated by stuff like that.
Yeah,
That like people would tell me that, and these are people that might have been privy to one of my failures along the way,
yeah,
right? These not just people that are just like casting judgment from afar. These are people that may have like learned of like some hiccup or some hurdle that I experienced on the way, and like, you know, yeah, Yinde, you might just want to just hang it up, like, straight, like that's how you feel. All
wow,
right, say less, like, say less. All right, cool. You know, it was never the case that someone told me that and I completely believed them. And sometimes it could be challenging based on like how close the relationship is.
yeah,
Like, whoever the person is that says that, sometimes somebody might hit you with something like that, and it hits your chest a little differently because it's like, man, like, I really value this person's opinion. I really care about this person. It might be more of an emotional thing. It's not that their opinion is bond. It's not like what they have to say is like super, you know, it's super weighty because they have some expertise in the area. But it's just like, yo, I really care about that person, and they're
mm-hmm.
telling me that they don't think I can accomplish this thing. You know, you have to have that, like, that positive self-talk. You're like, yo, like, if I want to go get it, I can. I might not get it on the first try, but I'm gonna get there at some point.
Oh, absolutely. The craziest, I just always like when it comes down to this 1804 stuff, man. It's pretty much the same thing that Tupac was talking about with Thug Life, because it was like Thug Life just came to him because that's how he felt.
Yeah,
But he didn't create Thug Life. He diagnosed it. So I
yeah,
diagnosed this because we need these type of conversations. We need these type of summits,
yeah,
just like BET used to have back in the day. It it wasn't just no TV shows, but they actually had these shows that spoke to the demographic,
yeah,
and we don't really have that like that these days because it's just sex, relationships, um, finances. Um,
Matter of fact, let's hit that a little bit too, bro. I know we ain't here to talk about this,
oh, good.
but
I don't
let's
mind.
hit it. Let's hit it. It's, because you're right on point. Like, one of the
Mm-hmm.
most marketable things right now in pop culture and television is sex and relationships.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're here talking like today primarily about mental health and education.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that we have decided to like kind of embark on with this conversation. But relationships play such a huge role in one's mental health in any journey that they want to embark on that involves graduating or achieving some task or end, like getting a degree,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, your relationships matter greatly, bro. And so I don't want to make this about relationships, but I you know, as you say that, I do want to touch just how important it is to have community, have people around you, whether it be your family or friends, that are speaking into you, that are encouraging you,
Mm-hmm.
and you may have to limit those relationships that don't do the same thing for you. You know, those relationships, you're around someone and you just kind of feel like drained after kicking it with them, or you just feel like that your ideas are suppressed around them, like they don't take you serious. They don't take the level that you're trying to reach as serious. They just see you as who you've always been, and they don't operate with you in the vision that you see for yourself. That's not it. You got to shed yourself of those relationships. And if you shed yourself of those relationships, it might not be the case that you completely cut them off, but you have to do the work to minimize that person having access to you in a way that will make you second guess yourself. Also, romantic relationships, bro. People talk about the most important decision in your life being the person that you marry. Like people refer to that relationship as the most important decision you'll make. I can honestly say, second to like your relationship with Christ, that is a wildly important decision to make, like who your partner is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But a lot of people think about that in the context of who they marry, right? But it's also important to think about who you're dating, like, because you can date someone for 2 years, and those may be 2 years that you really need to activate to achieve whatever goal. That 2-year relationship might not be the person that you marry, but you still have to be critical, and you still have to guard your heart and your mind and your spirit, with regard to like the type of people that you're dating and giving access to you, like giving them access to you even before marriage. Because we all know dating is intense too. Like, nowadays people look to get out of dating the same stuff that married folks. We moving in together in many cases. Sometimes we're sharing finances. We're sharing all these different things. That's deep. That's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
So if you're in a relationship and you're trying to achieve some sort of goal in life, that's just as important at that moment as whoever it is that you're going to marry at some point later down the line. Marriage is just a lot more important because obviously there's legalities that come with that. You can just break up with somebody that you're in a relationship with, but we all know when your heart is invested in something, like you're not just breaking up with somebody. So you have to, like people lock in for years, bro. Like if you're in a relationship for years and those years are important to whatever you're supposed to accomplish in life, that's an important situation you're in. You know what I'm saying? And so I just wanted to hit that. Like, I've had experiences in relationships where I knew that this person being in my life, especially my fiance, it's always been like that. I'm not married at the time, but I will be. And my fiance, I've been in a relationship with her, and it's always pushed me towards my goal. Right? And it's not always because of what she's saying or what she's showing it. It's just her being her. Right?
Yeah.
Like her, like I'm inspired by just watching her be her. Sometimes that's enough for me. You just being in the grace of who you are, But if somebody is destructive in your life, if you can't focus on anything but the relationship, that's not a good situation because there's more to life than your relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to get off in that too heavy, but when we talk about mental health and when we talk about education, those are two things that are going to be greatly impacted by your relationships, but more importantly, the romantic relationship you're in at the time. So there's no way we can have this conversation, bro, in good faith and not touch the importance of like you said, sex and relationship. But go ahead, my guy. Go ahead. I'm
good though.
I'm gonna fall back on that because this ain't what we're here to talk about.
Hey, it's all good though, because what I learned recently was like
my mom and sister in this thing. Shout out to my babies.
Hey, how y'all
Drop
doing?
a little comment. Mama, I see you in here, my baby.
Yeah, but like it's just what I had learned recently is like so many people, they having flings and this and that, one night stands and this and that. And just with me personally, I have found out because just you can't how can I explain this? Just because they're a good partner, like in a bedroom and this and that may not be a good girlfriend or boyfriend or wife or husband to you, because you still got to get to know them all over again because it's a whole new different playing field.
Yeah.
And because they think they know you because you've been having some casualties, but that doesn't mean that they qualified to go to
No,
the next level.
I mean, to frame it, I've seen, I see my cousin Archie just slid into here. What up, cuz? To frame what we're talking about right now, the overall of our conversation is mental health and education, and just those are two things that there's so much intersectionality between, you know, like how do you cultivate and how do you take action to protect your mental health, and then you know that is also something that if you want to accomplish things on the education side, that's connected. But relationships, whether it be friend or family, along with, you know, a more significant kind of relationship and romantic relationships, play such a big role in that. And so, like you saying, Will, like whoever you're with at the time, like obviously sexual compatibility is an important thing. If we're going traditional, you ain't supposed to be on that until you cross that marriage. But we obviously, grown folks gonna be grown folks, and so let's be realistic about it.
Yeah.
If that is an element of your relationship that is the only thing that's holding a relationship together, that ain't, you know, that relationship ain't gonna be it.
No, because it gets boring at the time.
It can be fun. It can be fun, right? But like if you're a serious person trying to achieve serious, you know, any serious goal, one that you're gonna have to dedicate yourself to, yeah, that's not gonna be enough. But again, bro, you are the captain of this ship, bro.
No, it's all good, bro.
I just felt like it was important to touch that.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's so very important, bro, when we talk about one's mental health and any goal that you may have in education.
Yeah. I was gonna, you know, touch on just the post-traumatic stress that I had gotten from like just losing people in my family and stuff, because I didn't know what it was. And just imagine, man, like you sleep one night and you wake up, you screaming top of your lungs and stuff like that. And I don't know if you noticed or anything, or you haven't, you know, I know you probably haven't seen me in a while, but I'm a giant, man. I'm a big ass dude, you know what I'm saying? I'm a giant now.
You've been a giant, bro.
Yeah, so I would be like terrified, just because I would be just in a daze. Because when I would be at work and stuff, I didn't notice it until like my coworkers would come up to me like, "You okay? You ain't speak or say anything in 5 hours. You all right?" And in my head, I would think it would be like 15, 20 minutes. I just like days off. So I didn't know something was wrong with me.
Yeah.
And then I just started having these reoccurring dreams and stuff like that. I had to go see a sleep therapist, and they had to take tests and everything like that. So when they got my test results and they asked me like, "Were you in the military? Did you serve?" And I said no. And it was like, "Yeah, your brain is off. It's not normal," and stuff like that. So they was just asking me like, "So what happened?" So I told them like my older brother passed away and stuff, and they was just like, "Oh, you have post-traumatic stress disorder," and then they try to get me to medicate myself and stuff, and I told them like, "No, I'm not going to be walking around here like a zombie or a vegetable. So is there a natural way of me getting rid of this thing?" And they say, "Well, it's not curable, but you will be able to control it. Like, but it takes a long time. But I still go through it, especially like when I'm arguing with somebody, you know, and I tell them like, look, I can't argue and this and that because I'm gonna go crazy and stuff like that. But it took so many years to get this calm, man, because I really calm now. But it just, I believe all of us, and especially growing up in Saginaw, in the hood, stuff like that, I believe we all have it, but it's different degrees and different steps and stages. But it just so much that we suppress
Yeah.
to the point that it takes that one little thing to give us that push,
Yeah.
and we will never go back to who we are.
Yeah.
So I just want, just from this episode and from this interview, it's just, you know, just young black males, period, man, just to be
Yeah.
able to express themselves and express their feelings,
Yeah.
because they'll make you less than a man, to cry, to be vulnerable, and to be open. You
Yeah.
know, we need those type of
That's
things. We
real.
need to encourage each other.
That's real, bro. I appreciate you for sharing. I mean, I was not aware. My condolences regarding your brother.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I think growing up in Saginaw, we don't even realize some of the, you know, the disposition, you know, that we're in our head. And it took me being around, you know, my fiance, and in some cases, other other women that I've dated, and my head would always be on a swivel. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no matter where I was at, I was always trying to read the room and be on point about whatever potential dangers
Mm-hmm.
existed. Because growing up in Saginaw, depending on where you're at,
Mm-hmm.
you know something can pop off at any time.
Yeah.
And you want to be out in front of it, right? And when I moved to New York, because I moved to New York City after law school, and my fiance, knowing that I'm a lighthearted person, I'm a fun person, I'm generally goofy, you know, around those that I love.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, like I have very serious moments in my life, but if I'm on my own time, I want to be in a light state. I want to smile. I want people around me to be smiling.
Mm-hmm.
But when I moved to New York, she, you know, my first couple of months out there, she was asking me, she was like, "Are you okay? Like, you're very tense." Oh, I kid you not. I kid you not. She's, you know, like she didn't know me to be the guy that I was being.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel anything out of the ordinary, but I was in a very different environment, and I just wanted to be on point. If something, you know, and this is her city. She's navigated the train. She's navigated these, you know, and when I say the train, I'm talking about the New York Metro system. You know,
Yeah.
she's navigated all of that, and so she's at ease, right? She just being herself. But even just kind of in that male role as someone who is tasked with being a protector,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm always trying to make sure I see what's going on, which can sometimes bring my lightness down. It brings kind of the joyous nature of my personality to a more observant and less present. I'm less present with you because I'm trying to make sure I'm seeing everything. And if anything pops up, I'm on in front of it.
Yeah.
You know, and in my personal life, you know, there have been times where I've had arguments and I've exploded in ways that are not okay.
Yeah.
And I think in general, you got to do work, commit yourself to doing the work to say, like, okay, why am I reacting that way? Am I okay with being that guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what you said earlier, bro, just calmness. In every situation I've ever been in, like, if you're calm, you can see better. You can better see what's going on.
Yeah.
Right. But when you're completely out of control, you're out of your, you know, you're out of your mind, and you're reacting off straight emotion, and you're not calm and sitting back and watching what's going on, even if you're involved, you're probably not operating in your best self. But when you calmly respond to what's going on, even if it's if you're in like physical danger, and you're just like sitting there calm, like, okay, this is what's happening. Like, you know, it's just so much better to like grow and develop as a man in a like experience high stress moments with a calmness to do what you're supposed to do, you know. And I think, like you're saying, sometimes talking to people about your triggers and your traumas. I have not personally done therapy, but I am an advocate for therapy, just based on the success stories that I hear from people that I know and love.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to someone that you don't have an emotional relationship with, that can just be objective about what you're saying and help you with positive think and talk about how to like better process things, how to make sense of your past, and to really contextualize your present and where you're trying to go. I'm definitely an advocate for it, but I ain't gonna cap. I have not gone to therapy. I probably need. I'm not about to sit over here and cap with folks like I have a therapist, because I don't. But
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good, man. I'm going back
Yeah,
on the
that's
28th.
what's up, bro. I
I'm going
appreciate you
back.
sharing.
But what really made me go back was I didn't want to carry on those type of grudges and be this mad black man anymore.
Yeah,
Cause I used to be angry, but
yeah,
now I'm mad. So I kind of eliminated the angry part, but I'm still mad. I'm mad of um the closure that I never gotten. But it
yeah,
just I'm going there so I can just pick up the pieces and formulate a new puzzle
yeah,
and just keep
yeah.
going. Because we need to quit acting like therapy is such taboo. We got to
Right,
quit doing that, you
right.
know. Everybody's not crazy because they have a therapist and
One
stuff.
hundred
So
percent, bro.
we got to
100.
stop that.
I salute you. I salute you for addressing your need, bro. Because one of the things that I was talking about earlier with my fiance, like my babe, talking to my guy Will today, like help me process my thoughts. Like what has been something that helps me out as far as mental health, my personal mental health journey.
Uh-huh.
You know, I don't know how much you know about my family background, but mental health is something, or mental illness, I should say, is something
Yeah.
that my family has been stricken with, like quite significantly.
Hmm.
And so for me, I've always been very, very hard on myself about not slipping because I want to be there for my family, and that alone can cause certain kind of stressors for me, where I am telling myself that you can't slip because if you slip, your family is in that much worse a position, you know. But on that point, I do feel like as a man growing up and adopting more responsibility has made me a better person,
Hmm.
not running away from it. I
Hmm.
think I have grown to realize that having to care for others or having to be, responsible for someone else, or be responsible even within your own life for different things, right? So,
Hmm.
we only got so many hours in a day, but if you like, okay, I gotta go to work and I gotta be on point, for these 8 hours in a day. And then after that, I have a fiance. I gotta make sure I'm spending time with her, making sure, our needs are met in the relationship. I have a family. I want to make sure I cultivate and continue to make sure that our relationships are in a good and healthy working space, whether they're perfect or whether they're in a trouble spot or not.
Hmm.
All these different things, rather than just checking out and be like, man, that's too much. I
Hmm.
realized that, like, just taking that responsibility on and say, yeah, like, even though this is difficult, like, I'm going to walk into this. I'm going to accept this responsibility, and I'm going to grow in it. That's been a really helpful thing for me, bro. That's been a really helpful thing for me. Also, exercise. We got to touch exercise, bro.
Yeah.
Exercise for me has been huge, and I've always like like asked someone, like think about working out or going to the gym. When has it ever been the case where you've gone to the gym and you like didn't improve your mood in some way, just going to the gym? Even if you go and like you don't even like feel like you accomplished what you thought you would do. You just kind of feel better. I went to the gym today.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You get your heart rate going, and you're having not only a psychological response to it, but a physiological response to having gone to the gym. And you're building discipline. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times people want to be motivated in life on every single thing. Motivation kind of comes and goes. There are ebbs and flows to motivation. When you're motivated, activate it. Be great in your motivation.
Hmm.
But you have to build discipline for those moments where you're not very motivated.
Yeah.
It's a character trait where you're like, I'm going to the gym at least 4 times a day. And it's not because I was looking at somebody's Instagram and I was motivated to look like them, but this is a part of my week now. I'm
Hmm.
going on Monday, I'm going on Wednesday, I'm going on Friday because that's what I've set out to do. You
Hmm.
know, it's not because I have this vacation in 2 months that I want to look right for, but this is just a part of my life now.
Yeah.
And I'm building discipline, discipline character traits and that can kind of like proliferate throughout your life in different areas. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no doubt, man. Because I just lost 50 pounds and stuff like that.
Shout out
I
to you.
don't
Congratulations, bro.
know. Yeah, thank you, man. And
Congratulations. That's big. That's major.
I tried, man. Like I said, it was tough, but I gained so much weight from that depression
Yeah.
and stuff. Because everyone has this misconception, like they think like when you depressed, like you stop eating. In most cases, you do,
Yeah.
but you also gain weight. You know, you also they say
Sometimes
I
people
forget the
eat,
word.
bro. Sometimes people
Yeah,
eat good when they're
yeah,
depressed. It's
it's
comfort. It
comforting.
can
Yeah,
comfort you.
comforting.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I was using that for comfort and to cope. It was a
Yeah.
coping mechanism for me. A lot of bad coping mechanisms that I had inherited,
Yeah.
but I wanted to feel better because I am getting older and stuff like that. So I just wanted a change, man, and just the transformation.
Yeah.
It's good, but I just always just tell everyone like nothing happens overnight and stuff like that. But it starts with you. You know, it starts with realizing what you want to do
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
don't give up. And it took 6 months, and I'm probably gonna lose some more because I like the clothes, how it fit on me now and stuff like
Bro,
that. But
listen, bro, confidence is huge, bro. Like when I tell you, when you get into a disciplined workout regimen and your clothes start to fit on you differently. A lot of times, like people think about working out from a purely physiological thing, right? Like, oh, I want my body to look better.
Mhm.
But honestly, when you look at yourself in the mirror, for me, I want it to look better in a suit. Like that was one of my things. Like I got like when I become an attorney, I want to look nice in a suit.
Mhm.
By the time I turned into an attorney, bro, I had like studying for the bar. I had blown up. I had like my eating during the bar prep was crazy. Like in my discipline as far as working out, all I could think about was passing the bar.
Mhm.
And so the thought of spending an hour and a half at any point in the day working out, I just couldn't fathom or imagine that that was a good use of my time. Like, and you hear people say, like, even before you practice, like, you know, or even before you study for the bar exam, you know, your professors and things like that, they'll tell you, like, yo, like, if you work out, continue to work out,
Mhm.
you know, but the stress of applying yourself to pass the bar exam, bro, I stopped working out. And I moved to New York too. That was another thing. I shouldn't have moved my environment, but I did.
Mhm.
And when I moved, my environment changed so much that like getting to the gym was more difficult for me, you know. And so it became this thing where like I don't want to get on a train to go to the gym and then go to the gym, work out for an hour, and then get back on the train. Like boom, like that's 2 hours right there. I don't have 2 hours to give, so I completely stopped working out until I, you know. And so once I became a lawyer, here I am as a lawyer, always imagining myself liking the way I looked in a suit as an attorney, and I had like gained a lot of weight.
Mhm.
And so, you know, my confidence in my suit, I'm not going to say it had an impact on the way I do my work.
Yeah.
But when I look at myself in the morning after putting my clothes on,
Mhm.
having lost weight, you know, I'm still, trying to get to like my ideal spot.
Yeah.
But I've gone on a weight loss journey myself, and there are so many things that have improved me psychologically. When I look at myself, and I feel more confident as I'm doing my work.
Mhm.
Same brain, same body, same person. But as I do my work, after looking in the morning, just like, yeah, I'm ready for the day. I feel so much more confident going out, and that confidence it translates with regard to my presence in a moment with someone that I'm working with or I'm
Mhm.
dealing with.
Yeah.
My presence is bigger. You know, I'm not shying away from moments. You know, I'm okay with my presence filling up the space because I'm confident. I'm here. I'm 10 toes down. This is who you're dealing with.
Mhm.
But if I feel like my suit is a little bit tight or the button is, you know, so not to go on and on about that, but 100%, bro, getting your mind and body on the same page and allowing that to be a source of confidence, huge.
Absolutely, man. And I just wanted to say I really admire you because you like you chose like a career pathway that we don't have many, and people love to talk about the system, the justice system, and this and that, but we need to get in the justice system in order to change it. So it just
I appreciate
everybody,
that, bro.
yeah, because everybody just look at when one of us become a cop or one of us become a attorney or a DA, judge, like they say like, oh, well, you blue for them, but you black, but you too blue for the brothers and sisters and this and that. So just elaborate on that if you mind.
Oh, for sure, 100%. You need people that look like you in the room. Like whether or not you see a black officer with some blue lives like matter banner up on his, at the end of the day, he is a black man. His family is black. He walks around like clothed in his blackness. That definitely makes for a better world for us to exist in as civilians, as black civilians, right?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I do think the power of being a prosecutor, if you will, the power of being a police officer can corrupt someone. It can corrupt someone.
Yeah.
So you can get, black folk can get in those roles and become corrupted and forget, how much, their blackness matters.
Yeah.
And how being closed as a black person should make for a better system. And that they should to some extent they should take that responsibility and welcome it. Like me being a black person in this role makes this a better system. Because like you say, if you're a prosecutor and you're a black person and you understand that these are the kinds of situations that you know of and you have access to because the types of, let's say, cases, right? And you understand that these cases involve certain kind of like police corruption, right? You have the ability to do your due diligence in making sure that there wasn't police corruption in this case. If there was, for whatever reason, let's say someone's Fourth Amendment rights were trampled over, those cases need to be dismissed. And you have that frame of mind that you can better look at that stuff rather than always assuming that an officer did the right thing. Because growing up that your man's got jammed up. And that's not to say that in every situation, because you'll learn in those roles that like a lot of times people probably did it, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that the law enforcement has gone about doing their job the right way. Right. So to make a system honest as a prosecutor, and this is the role of a prosecutor, it's not only to hold citizens accountable, but hold the government accountable for doing the right thing. Hold law enforcement accountable for doing the right thing. Because if their investigation is something that they've done in violation of someone else's rights, those cases should be and that's something that as a black person we see a black prosecutor and we automatically in our communities think like, you playing for the other side. Yeah. And you don't even realize, okay, let's take that black person out of that seat. Let's take the black people in those roles out of those seats, and then what are we left with? Then we're left in a situation where we can't even have that thought, about them. Now we're in a situation where people don't know where you've come from. People don't know what it's like to be a black person. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely agree with you, bro. Like, I'm not necessarily saying that every black person in those roles needs to be praised, but I do think that we need to, like, as the black community needs to challenge themselves in that thinking that every time you see a black person working for the government, that that they're a traitor or some sort, that they sold out, or that us being in those seats, filling those seats is important. That is an important role for for black people to play.
Yeah, because it could be Jim Crow all over again, and they working on it as we speak.
The
So,
like you say, and the conversations, just being in the room,
hmm
being in the room is different. You're if you're in the room as a black person, if you're in the room, it changes the temperature of the room. So
hmm
if there's a community, and that's the same for any other group,
hmm
right? Because if you're a person that is working in a community where you have representation of different groups, you have to think about those different groups and how those different groups might have a different plight. They may have a different plight. And if you're in a room and the room looks the exact same, everyone in whatever seat in that room looks the same.
yeah, yeah, because I just sit back and think when it was all white juries, white judge, white lawyer, you going to jail like by default, like it's over. But
I mean,
I was,
I'm, I do have, you know, hope that our system, even in a situation like that, I do have a hope that the goal of Lady Justice is accomplished. I'm not one that's looking at a situation like, okay, everyone in this seat is white. It's over with. But I will say that we need to be applying for those jobs. We need to be filling those seats because our presence, just by nature of us being there, the system is changed. The
hmm
system is changed by us being in those seats. We need to be in those seats. And we as the black community, we definitely need to, to quit putting our nose up to those who look like us and they fill those seats.
yeah,
They make it. They make the world a better place for us.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Just quite frankly, they make the world a better place for us. So
and that's good because um, we praise the wrong people. And I would say the people that's like who are rappers and who are entertainers and stuff
yeah.
like that. Like
Oh no, you
maybe,
don't even want to. Well, I don't even know if we got enough time to get off into that, bro.
yeah, but
I don't even know if we got enough time to get off into
no,
that.
no, we can say
But
we can save that if you want to come back. We could
no,
definitely say that because
we might have to touch that like on its own. But to
yeah,
your point, I was just watching an interview last night. I think it was shot in like 1973.
oh
Uh,
my,
I think it was Kwame Ture.
oh yeah, yeah,
And I was
Stokely Carmichael.
listening to this brother speak, and I was just like, I was in awe of just the way he was stringing his words together.
hmm
And I just can't help but even like as a person living in 2023 to be so inspired to like just want to take a little bit of what Brother Kwame had and incorporate that in my life's work. Who
That's
do we?
crazy though. That's crazy. Because I'm doing this episode on Lowndes County and stuff
Mm,
with him and Dr. King. Yeah, that's a story within itself, man. And
yeah,
so I'm glad you said that. You can
yeah. But
continue.
to your point, now we have a very different group of men
hmm
who are inspiring the youth, and it is very individual. It's very much about individuality and not about community. Those brothers, they were laying their lives down for not only their families, but they was caring about the community as a whole.
hmm
That's a lot to shoulder. If you're shouldering like I care about not only my family, but I care about my community. Because the ways that they speak, they were speaking out. It was kind of putting them in danger, right? So
Yeah.
it has to be something that you're passionate about if you're willing to actually kind of put yourself in harm's way just to speak about it. But now the examples that our boys have to look at, the ones that are getting the airtime, the ones that are on the airwaves, the ones that kids are being inspired by. It's all about making sure that you look better than the next man. You making more money than the next man. You effing the next man woman. And what is the messaging? You know, like your clothes cost more than the next person's clothes. You know, all this stuff, it really impacts the youth, bro. And a lot of kids are being raised by the internet, are being raised by social media, are being raised by the music industry and things like that. And it's definitely a societal ill. And I mean, I think particularly for the black community, we got to take a look at that.
Yeah.
We got to take a look at that. And we have to do something to bridge the gap for our youth who are not in positions where their fathers or their uncles or their cousins, you know what I'm saying, are teaching them what's right and what's left and right and all that. You know what I'm saying? We have to do better about standing in the gap for those young brothers and putting ourselves out there for them to be inspired by us. Because the individualism and just talking about, you know, knocking the next man's woman down or having a better car than them or having a better like financial situation than them, that ain't it, man.
No.
That ain't it. That ain't it at all, bro. I'm critical of myself and I'm critical of my community on things that I feel like, you know, we need to be critical of. And I am critical of us on that front. Like, we have to do better about that.
Oh, absolutely. And I can hold myself accountable of the things that I contribute to our community as well. That's why I'm trying to change it, because I'm in the community and trying to send some kids to college, because I have a thing that I want to do by sending 3 local high school seniors to college on a scholarship. But right now it's just a idea. But then it's gonna go into fruition. Later on. But
talk that. Say that.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I just want to do something, because we can't expect people who ain't or never lived in our communities. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we got to do it.
We do.
We got a lot of money. We
do.
Because we have the most spending power out of everybody. So if we are joined as one, we can make anything happen. We can make anything pop. But it's all in the mindset, man. It's just all gonna take nothing but commitment. It's gonna take accountability, and it's gonna take sacrifice. And we gotta sacrifice something in order for a change to come.
No, for sure, bro. For sure. I mean, anytime you want, you know, me to come back and kind of give my words and recommendations, or just my presence is something that will help facilitate some goal or objective that you have, reach out, bro. Just like you did to bring me here today. I really appreciate you even having me in mind, you know.
Man, no problem, man.
Yeah, I'm here, bro. I'm here, and I'm thinking the same way. The one thing that I have tasked myself with, I would say the last decade, is making sure that I am in a place where I can give back. And I think sometimes that comes with separating yourself from the group and focusing on what you are cultivating within yourself. Because I didn't want to necessarily be having the heart to give back, but I haven't done something with my time that is valuable in service or in good to give back. You know, so that's one of the things that I would suggest for us as men is we do, as just natural providers, we do kind of want to give back, but our heart posture and our mind posture can be in such a better place if we're taking care of ourselves. We've taken care of ourselves. We're in a position where our needs have been met, and we do have the time and the excess to give back. But a lot of times it's tougher to do that give back when all we can give is our time. If that's all we have to give, let's give it. If that's all we have is to give, let's give our time. You know, let's give back with our time. But one of the things that I wanted to challenge myself with the past 10 years is putting myself in a position to be able to answer a question for a kid who wants to be or go down a path that I've gone down, because I know I've been there. I'm not, not telling you something that I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not putting you in a position to take advice from someone that just because my heart is to give back to you, I'm going to give you an answer. I can tell you exactly what it looks like because I've been there and I've done that. I'm actually qualified to talk to you about this thing. And so, you know, what we need to do as a community is make sure that the brothers with the time connected with the brothers with the access, because this brother might not have as much time, but he may be able to give something different.
Yeah.
He may have more resources. But in general, we need to come together as a community, the brothers with the time or the brothers with the resource or the brothers with the expertise in this area versus the expertise in this area. We all working together to provide some sort of some sort of bridge for the generation behind us to get to where they're trying to go.
Oh, for sure, man. It's crazy because I look at things very differently now as an adult. So it's just what you just said took me back to Captain Planet. You know how they all summoned him with their rings, but one ring couldn't bring out Captain Planet.
Yep.
They all have to do it.
They all
have to do it. Just like all the Power Rangers had to come together and bring the Megazords out.
We got to split up, man. We can't do it by ourselves. We can't do it by ourselves.
Yeah.
And honestly, if we're critical of the past, our past leaders like Martin Luther King, our past leaders like Booker T, I should stick to Martin Luther King in this case. I'm going to stick to Martin Luther King and I'm going to stick to Malcolm, right? When brothers like incredible brothers, right?
Yeah.
I'm definitely not about to play with their flowers. We gonna give them their flowers. But when we have brothers like that holding so much power in and of themselves, when they're taken out of position, it's so much that's lost.
Yeah.
But if we spread the wealth as far as who's impacting our community, and there's not just one figurehead that can get knocked off and devastate our progress, right? If we're spreading, it's like, okay, we got this brother here, we got this brother here, we got this. If we're a 5-head horse, you can't just knock off the head of one person and set us back 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And devastate us in the way that we've kind of been devastated when brothers like that have gone down.
Yeah.
You know? So in general, I feel like, you know, we definitely have to work to spread the wealth as far as, you know, stepping up to the plate and creating that bridge. And, you know, for those that come behind us. But, you know, like I say, bro, we might have to come back to hit all this stuff.
Yeah, man, I don't mind. I'm with it, bro.
That's what's up, bro. Let's make that happen, bro. I've enjoyed our time, bro, our conversation. Man, we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
I hope for whoever, you know, has been listening and for whoever, you know, may come to see this at some point later, you know, you just kind of generally feel inspired and feel, you know, you can hit me up. Like if anybody's watching this and they have any kind of personal questions for me, or if there's anything that I can discuss with them, you know, that will give them whatever push, however big or small, push in the right direction, hit my line. I am available. I am a service and community minded person. And so hit me up, get with me, and I will try to do my best to serve you in whatever questions or whatever needs you may have.
Okay, man. And again, it was a pleasure. Thank you. And we would do this again, man. And I will keep you posted. And just keep me posted.
Definitely. I appreciate you. Love, bro. Love.
Likewise, man. Talk to you later. Have a good day.
Bro. You too.
Peace.
Peace.